So how this is gonna work is we're gonna have a panel of monks, and I swear I'm not the monk, and we're gonna have a panel of monks, and this is an opportunity for you to ask your questions. Think of we're actually having a fundraiser tonight. Actually, a fundraiser. You can win some money tonight. Anybody want to win some money? Okay, it's a spiritual circle. Not so many people want to win some. We're giving out $100 of Dolce's money for the person who asked the stupidest question. In other words, I'm you're gonna win the $100, huh? No, I'm just kidding. We're gonna. I'm just trying to say that there's no question that you is too dumb or too pedantic for you to ask. So much so that we have a wonderful QR code that you can scan with your phones. And if you don't have a phone, like Steven, you can maybe ask a friend to. He didn't bring one. Um, you can ask a friend to scan a QR code, or at the end, we're gonna have some time for some real questions. So, real life questions. So, without further ado, I would like to invite our monks, and they're gonna take a few minutes and introduce each one of them. So, on our panel today is Nityananda Chandra. Round of applause. Gaur Sharan Prabhu. Surabhi Kunj. And Krishna Bhava. Please come through. Sit on your biases and expertise. You'll be developing. I'm on your guys' team. And I will be your host. This,
No, you just sit there, and then
and periodically you So take some time right now. I'll be sitting with my friend Lewis over here. We're the commentators. We're the judges. And so we'll keep the score. And Abe, why don't you act as cameraman?
yeah,
He's the cameraman.
already.
You don't even have to act, you are. So I wanted to take a few minutes and maybe I'll just pass the mic and you guys can just pass the mic down and introduce yourselves to the audience. Something about yourself, maybe your name, where you're from, and how'd you get into bhakti?
Hi Krishna, hey everyone, good evening. This is Gaur Sharan. I'm originally from India and I've been here in New York City at the Bhakti Center for last 10 years. I got introduced to Bhakti in 2002 when I was an engineering student in India, and I joined the ashram in 2007. So I've stayed in multiple places like Govardhan Eco Village and here at Bhakti Center. So very happy to be with all of you. That's it.
Welcome, everyone. Thank you for attending Be a Monk Challenge. So I first learned about Bhakti in 1993. My name is Nityananda Chandra, and I was a punk rock kid, and a 13-year-old friend of mine told me all about reincarnation and karma, and I was like, this makes a lot of sense, and answered a lot of questions. So I immediately became a vegetarian and started some of the practices, and then by the time I was 20, I became a monk. I was going to a temple in Portland, and the closest person to my age was named Acharya Nishta. He was 11 years old, and I was 20. There was nobody my age at the temple. But the lady who ran the temple told me one day, hey, there's going to be some changes here, and it's going to be really good for you. 30 monks and monkettes are going to move to Portland, and they're going to open a new center. And so when they opened that new center, it was like just some short time after I became a monk in 1999. In Brooklyn Temple, I lived as a monk and sold a book to my wife-to-be, and we've been married for 24 years, and we have 3 kids, 18, 16, and 14 years old. Thank you.
Hare Krishna, my name is Surabhi Kunj. I'm from South Africa, and I came into the path of bhakti by reading a book called The Science of Self-Realization. That was around 2011. And yeah, I've been kind of traveling a bit, and now finally here, back home, back to Brooklyn, in this temple, serving in different ways here. Hare Krishna.
My name is Krishna Bhava. Where I am from is a little bit complicated. My nationality is American, but I grew up in India, so I spent most of my life there. Also traveled around a lot. And my parents joined ISKCON, the devotees, before I was born. So I was brought up, in the culture of bhakti. And yeah, that's it. Yeah.
Perfect. So our job is to debunk them or to ask them good questions. So should we give them a hard question or should we give them an easy question? Hard question? Okay, and I'll be choosing one of you guys sporadically, and you guys can also add. So Gaur Sharan Prabhu, I have a very good question for you. Do you ever get bored? And what do you do?
Yeah, boredom is, I think, a natural state of the mind sometimes. And it also shows that there is a void inside. That's how I interpret it when I feel bored. I grew up South Indian, means I was born and brought up in South India. So there are some traditional Carnatic music that I grew up with, which is also based on Krishna and other forms of Narayan and Vishnu. So I usually hear them if I really feel like bored. I hear that music because I grew up with it, and usually it kind of uplifts me. Or I hear a kirtan. There's this Vriksha Valli by Jahnavi, a couple of others like that. So I hear a kirtan. I kind of tend to hear too many lectures. So I realize, means just it's time to hear kirtan.
Thank you. Anybody else want to add on the panel? So you guys don't get bored at all. Okay, I'll get a harder question. Nityananda Chandra, I guess I'm not going to ask you this one because you live with your family.
What is this one?
The question is, do you visit family as a monk? You guys.
My family are all practicing Hare Krishna, so of course I love spending time with them. And
Also, can you have a day off from your routine life?
me or him?
Both.
Day off. When you say routine life, what do you mean?
Like your everyday, like routine, like being a Hare Krishna.
Uh, well, I try not to take a day off. I think there's certain things where we may need a break from like a very busy time of our life, but we don't take a day off from the basics like chanting, reading every day, attending the morning program, or we try not to. And but like there are times when we're extremely busy, just kind of like during a festival season. Like now, there's so many festivals upcoming, and we may need some time to rest. But our resting is hopefully in Krishna consciousness also. There's so many ways to, like you can watch like a Krishna conscious movie, like we watched the Hare Krishna movie yesterday, and like reading with friends, just like hanging out, associating with devotees. That's for me. That's like my break.
Amazing. Thank you. So Krishna Bhava, this question is for you. What does the song Hare Krishna mean, and what do you believe is our purpose on this earth?
Okay. They say the song, the Hare Krishna mantra, is basically a prayer asking the Lord, how can I be of service to you? As like they say, the Lord gives us so many things in life. Like basically everything we have is only by the grace of the Lord. So now we try to reciprocate with that, and we ask the Lord, like, how can I be of service to you now? You've been serving me constantly in so many ways. What can I do for you? And so when we chant the mantra, we try to meditate on that. How can I serve the Lord? How can I please the Lord? And obviously it's a combination of names of the Lord. Like Krishna means the all-attractive. Hare is the feminine energy of the Lord. and Rama means the reservoir of all pleasure. So those are very beautiful names. What was the second one?
What's our purpose on this earth?
Purpose on this earth. Okay, that's a big question. Well, what these Bhakti scriptures teach us is that because we're all spirit souls, our purpose is to reestablish our relationship with the supreme spiritual person who is God. And in this way, we can become completely happy and basically, put an end to all the troubles that we're experiencing in this world.
Thank you. So, back over to Gaur Sharan Prabhu. Is this interesting? Feel free to scan the QR code at any moment. And if you have another question, a follow-up, you can always just ask. So, Gaur Sharan Prabhu, I have a question. Wait, I'm just trying to choose a good one for you. Have you had doubts in your monk career? And how have you dealt with these doubts?
When I joined, I was like 22, and I was very eager, mad, whatever you want to say. I didn't tell my parents, I just disappeared one day. So I was very eager to join. But surely the first 5 years, maybe after 3-4 years, third year, fourth year, I had some doubts in my mind. Oh, is this for me? Will I really make it? Because I saw some seniors changing, so it kind of created doubts in me. And I would say until I crossed 5 years, I was like kind of a little bit not sure, third year to the fifth year. But post that, gradually, I kind of took guidance, and it became very clear this is not the goal of life to be a monk or anything. The goal of life is to actually develop love for God. So whatever is the position of life, social status that is helpful for us to serve, that's what we are actually hoping for, to be able to serve stably wherever we are situated. So then I didn't make this as the goal of my life. So then I loosened that up a little bit and just tried to see what is my psychophysical nature, what suits me in order to be able to serve, where will I flourish, where do I find comfortable. I think after a few years, I would say personally quite comfortable, though means it's not that I'm not attached to. Many times I even pray, I don't want to be attached to be a brahmachari. At the same time, I also prefer being like this and being able to serve freely. So yeah, these are some of the thoughts.
Thank you. Nityanand Chandra, how can one be a monk while having a family and being married? Isn't being a householder not being austere?
I just want to make sure if everyone, have all of you asked your questions? Because you can just ask through this QR code. And so, I lived as a monk just for a few years, but as married, both my wife and I, we served in temples for many years. And when people hear the word monk in America, they think, okay, this is someone who is a monk for their entire life. And we have different terms in the Vedic culture. You have what is called brahmachari. This is celibate student. You have grihastha. This is married. Then you have what is called vanapras. This is retired life, where husband and wife become again kind of like monks. They just like when your gas is half full, then you understand, okay, everything's about to, you're not going to go anywhere after that tank is empty. So when your life is about half empty, then you start to simplify. Could you just press that just to make sure they get their QR code? Thank you. Then you have, okay, at 50, guaranteed you don't have just about 50 years left, maybe less. Then you start, instead of digging your roots deeper, you start pulling your roots up. And then sannyas that's a lifelong celibate monk. And so most of the monks you see are brahmacharis, they're celibate students. Some may stay brahmacharis, it's more of a rare case. But it's just like someone goes to a university, they go to a university, they study, they get trained, but they don't necessarily stay in the university. Some people stay in the university. Like I have been invited to speak at a university in Texas, and the professor, he taught for 60 years there, and it was his only job he's ever had. He's a professor of religion. He taught, the one class was called The Many Faces of Krishna, and he taught a lot of really nice courses. And so brahmachari life is that training, and when one practices, then the next stage they give a term called adhikar, means they've graduated, they have some qualification now to enter life and keep those same principles that they maintained. Yes, it's not going to be as austere. You're not going to have that same sense of austerity because children don't have that same sense of austerity. But I think most of you have this experience. You've been here for a few mornings and you're waking up early in the morning. You might not leave here and practice to that same intensity, but you always have that contrast that I know what it's like when I did this, and then I know that this is a valid solution to deal with difficulties in life. Whereas somebody might be coming to this temple and coming maybe once a Sunday for a couple years, and then life throws them, a nice slap in the face, and they may seek shelter in other things because the experience might not be so deep. So that Be a Monk challenge for 3 days, for a week, for a month, for years, it gives a great contrast by which you can always have a deep understanding of what will be a practical solution for all the different problems in life.
Thank you. Now, Surabhi, why do you think, fellow South African, why do you think Elon Musk, extreme success, is born as Elon Musk, and me, as me, still trying to find his way? What is the X factor?
Well, I mean, in the Bhakti tradition, we hear about karma. We hear about the fact that we don't just have one life. We're a soul that's going through cycles of birth and death. And so, based on our previous karma, our previous activities, and our desires, and our state of mind, when we leave one body, one lifetime, we get another body. So, so my spiritual teacher, he makes this analogy. He says that kind of like how when we go shopping, we look at what we want, and then we see the price tag, and we say, oh, I can't afford that. So he says that the soul is like shopping for bodies, and we may want like a really fit body, or the karma of like someone that's going to be rich and famous and beautiful and intelligent. But then when you look at what's required to have that, the price of it, which is the karma required, the good karma required to have that, you look and say, oh, I can't afford that, maybe. So all of us are coming with karma from previous life, and then that's how we end up in this life. So Elon Musk has some good karma. Some of us may not have the same level of good karma in that way, but we may have good karma in a different way. Like we may be born in a very spiritual family, or we may be naturally attracted to spiritual life, or we may be very intelligent, very academically smart, very beautiful. So yeah, that's my answer. You want to add something?
Whoever asked that question, I feel like Elon Musk doesn't have the fortune of the person who asked that question. It's definitely like, that's like next level, is that you can actually ask these questions.
Amazing perspective. How are you doing? Are they doing okay? Give me a thumbs up if they're doing okay, or a thumbs down. Okay, wow. Okay, wow.
Is there like a dunking booth?
We're gonna throw a bucket of water at you. After this, we're gonna choose our favorite monk. Just kidding. So, Krishna Bhava, my question to you is, how do I figure out what is my destiny? I know what I want. I've asked Claude for many times for steps, but things aren't going my way.
I don't know, that's kind of like a hard question because we don't know our destiny. And in one sense, there's no like way where you can actually exactly know what your destiny is. You can do things that will determine your destiny. Like the actions we perform now are leading to what's going to happen in the future. They say that it all begins with our thoughts. our thoughts then lead to actions, actions lead to habits, repeated, and then habits eventually form our destiny. So we have some influence over what our destiny is going to be, but ultimately, because of like the law of karma that Surabhi was talking about, we also have our karma from many, many lives in the past, and that is also affecting what our future is going to be. But the good thing about spiritual life is they say that when you practice spiritual life, it has the power to burn up all your past karma. So basically, you have the power to erase all of your previous accumulated karma, and you can then create new karma. Well, actually, you can create new, that would be spiritual, so you wouldn't call it karma. Like your spiritual bank balance. That's something else. And then in that way you can kind of choose the direction you want your path to end up in.
Do you think it's a good idea to ask Claude about my destiny?
I wouldn't.
Okay, back to Gaur Sharan Prabhu. A little bit of a serious topic here. Do you lose faith when world leaders and faith leaders do bad things?
World leaders, when they do bad things,
And spiritual
they
leaders.
are very different categories. I wouldn't club them together. So when world leaders do bad things, I see how lack of spiritual consciousness actually makes even the most intelligent people with power and resources, when they have the exploitative tendency, it's no good. They actually end up hurting people more. Though with all their power and resources, they could do much more better things to people. But when their consciousness is corrupted in terms of becoming very selfish and materially motivated, uh, despite the power, it only becomes a burden to them and to others. In terms of faith leaders, when there is a difficulty, I do actually understand to some extent from personal experience that purity is not a very easy thing to come by. So even if a really serious person striving to make spiritual advancement, the temptations could actually overpower. So means I would just think personally that there is something for me to also learn from, because if a highly and like well known or like successful or very empowered kind of a person has difficulty, it just goes to show that how the inner work is a very refined process, and sometimes even the low is actually like more of a thrust to go forward. Sometimes that's what they need to go forward in their own journey. So spiritual people's destiny or their path is also kind of co-created by the will of the Supreme Lord. So maybe that is the best thing that they need in order for them to actually realize the importance of spiritual life and go forward. Sometimes people need embarrassment in order to actually become a little bit wake up and realize, oh, what am I doing? What is the thing I came here for? So we can get covered because most faith leaders are usually within an organization, and organizations can actually cover their intelligence. So then that shake up can actually make them wake up and see and choose what they're here for.
Follow up.
Does that make you question the process of that chosen faith leader?
That actually gives me more faith in the process that no one can fake it.
Can you explain more?
Like the universal principles stay the same. Just because you are powerful, just because you are charismatic, you're resourceful organizationally, does not mean you can break the universal laws of say for example, if someone is a faith leader, they are supposed to keep an integrity. If they break that integrity in terms of character, it's going to show up somewhere or other. So it only reinforces my faith in the universal law that no one can actually break it. Rather, they will just break themselves. Now or later, it's just a matter of time.
Powerful answer. So, Feel free to snap at any point. That's amazing. There was one with a lot of. Okay, so this is a long question with like 3 questions in one blurb. So I'm just gonna keep asking them, and then you do whatever you want to do with it.
Okay.
Okay. There seems like there are similarities between this religion and others and Christianity. Why is that? Based on I think this changed. Based on the religion, how did the universe start? And can you speak on reincarnation? How do you know how to grow in this lifetime? Is there the end of reincarnation if they overcome all of the lessons?
Okay. So I think people in Japan, they discovered that 2 plus 2 is 4. People in Mexico discovered that 2 plus 2 is 4. People in Israel discovered 2 plus 2 is 4 because that truth is universal. And so there is a universal truth. People are discovering it. It's also being revealed by different saintly personalities. Just like, how do any of us know that there's Japan? It somehow was told to us. It wasn't something we like took a telescope out and figured out. It was something that was a source of information. From that source came and revealed it to us. And so the idea is that truth is eternal, but that truth can be corrupted with human influence. As Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita, he says that I previously have presented this knowledge, but it was passed down from many thousands and thousands of years. But because the lineage has been broken, the knowledge is lost. So therefore, I'm again reestablishing it. So how many of you would believe that you can become a world famous ballet artist by reading a textbook, or a jiu-jitsu artist, or
Only ballet.
piano? Can you learn that through a book? No, it's a living tradition. It is passed down from master to student, master to student. And so Krishna explains that this is how the knowledge of spiritual life is similarly passed down. It's a disciplic succession from master to student. And so you have many masters that have appeared, and over time some of that knowledge might have been lost to a certain degree, but still we see that these kernels of truth are there. I find that many people that are even agnostic, they're agnostic because they're really looking for something that is truthful, and they're just great seekers. So that was one question. What was the other 3 questions? Reincarnation. I know reincarnation is true because the body I had when I was 2 is no longer here. Whereas if I put a micro tag of a little Apple tag on every cell, all those cells would be dead somewhere else. So I'm not the body. I've already reincarnated. That is a biological fact. It's happening right now. I don't have the body when I was 2. And then when I had my 7th birthday, I didn't cry that I lost my 6-year-old body. I celebrated. So the body is always changing. This carne, this meat that I have today is going to be from what I eat tonight. It's going to, but I'm not the plate that's in front of me, and I'm not the body that I'm currently in. It's constantly changing. But the one who's seeing everything, that's me. The one who's observing. As was it Descartes? He says, cognito ergo sum. I think, therefore I am. Was another question? When we actually become back to our original consciousness as the pure lovers of God, then we don't have to be in this world anymore. It's just like the king sees, okay, this person who is stuck in prison, but they have reformed their consciousness, then why should they stay? If they're completely reformed, let them out. I think there was a fourth or something, mixed one.
I think you got.
I got?
There seem to be similarities between Christianity and other religions. You covered that one. So every time someone adds a question, then it just takes me back to the bottom.
Okay.
Based on religions, how did the universe start?
How did the universe start? Yes. You have the Bible says first was the word was sound, and that God was sound, and then. And so similarly in the Upanishads and the Vedas, you have this conception that the first manifestation of material energy was sound, and from sound came from subtle to more gross. It's a very sophisticated and complex thing, and you'll find thousands and thousands of pages that you can study about it. It's not just 2 pages, it's thousands and thousands of pages, but it's very subtle, and that we will need a few weeks to discuss, but we can do that.
That's it. Good job. Thank you. How's everybody doing? They're doing okay? Okay. Feel free, if you just walked in, we're doing a Debunk the Monk challenge. So you can ask any question you want to these wonderful spiritualists, and they will attempt to answer you and make them difficult. They're doing really good. These are easy guys. Come on. Yeah, think of some harder ones. Okay, Surabhi. How would a monk get over someone that they know is not good for them? Instead of peace, they give you anxiety due to their avoidant behavior, leave you with uncertainty.
Interesting. I think in general, we try to take inspiring association as far as possible. We want to surround ourselves with people who are going to uplift us spiritually. And for people who are kind of draining our energy, this sounds like an energy drain, we try to keep a respectful distance. That doesn't mean we hate them or become like, there's no animosity. It's just that we set boundaries of what we allow into our life. It's like how we have boundaries for our social media usage, maybe, or like, different boundaries that we set in life. Like people who work have a boundary that they're not going to overwork, especially if you work from home. It's like, okay, 5 p.m., 6 p.m., whatever, laptop's closed and you put it away. You have that boundary. So we need that boundary also with people who, if they have proven to be constantly kind of draining our energy, then we set that, and then we wish them well. We can pray for them. If we do have to interact with them, it can be in a very like well-wishing kind of way, but we don't need to necessarily invest our time, energy, and emotions in the person and take their association into our life. We should only be giving as far as possible, as far as we can handle. Also, it also depends on what our capacity is, because people who are very spiritually strong are less and less affected by this kind of thing. They're less affected by the energy that other people put off. But when we're on the path and we're kind of growing spiritually, it does affect us. And so it's a very important question. Anything to add?
This book, Nectar of Instruction, and it talks about not necessarily associating with anybody, but spiritualists who may not practice so nicely. It says, respect them, manasajit, respect them in your mind. And I think the negative is a helpful way to understand it. Don't hate on them. It's just you can keep some distance, but don't let that be a meditation, as you said.
Yeah,
No animosity.
And one thing I wanted to add is sometimes when our mind, like, we should stop our mind from getting absorbed in their flaws, because that's very easy to do. Instead of constantly, like, one easy way to not allow that is to not talk about it with anyone. Because sometimes I know in my life previously, when I was much younger, and I get absorbed in like some wrong that someone did to me, and it's like I need to express it. I need everyone to like be on my side, and that's not healthy, because firstly, not everyone's going to be on your side, but secondly, and then it like affects your relationship with like other people. But secondly, it's just what happened is in the past, and then as long as we continue speaking about it, meditating on it, thinking about it, it's just continuing in our mind. So you waste so much of your life by meditating on the flaws of others, when we could just be kind of wishing them well and praying for them and hoping they heal.
What you count increases. So if you count your money, you'll actually do financially, do better. If you count bad qualities of others, then those bad qualities increase in you. And you count good qualities in others, then those qualities increase in you. So whatever you're counting, taking account of, will increase.
Can I add a question?
Yes.
That goes with that kind of, not necessarily an avoidant, but I don't know if other people have this, where say you've done like a lot of healing, a lot of purification, and you like to go into certain spaces, I'm not talking about this one, but let's say other environments, and you're still having that, as some people call destiny swappers, where like you have people like siphoning your energy and manifesting off your energy constantly. And you can catch it because suddenly you hear someone say like exact things that you were doing, and you didn't even tell them per se. And then next thing you know, oh, I work at the Guggenheim, and I'm just making, and I'm getting married next week, and that's what you had been thinking about for like weeks, and you never told them, like things like that. You know what I mean? Like that can happen where, and you can't just, I mean, you can, but you don't want to really go be solo all the time in solitude. But energy drainers or siphoning your energy, I should say, right? And like using your energy. How do you feel about that? Or what can you do about that?
I think the most important thing is to kind of strengthen ourselves spiritually.
Yeah.
Because when we become spiritually strong, if someone is taking our energy, then they're getting spiritual energy. For very, very, like when I think of my spiritual teacher, all I can think of is that we probably drained his energy in many ways. We are students, we're young, we're immature, and we need so much from him. And he's this very, very spiritually absorbed person. But because he's so strong spiritually, he's not considering us energy draining. He's actually just giving because he's so saturated with spiritual energy. So he's just like happy to give, actually. So that's the goal. That's what we should be working towards. And when we have that as our meditation, we will like that goal, that high goal of like really strengthening ourselves, then we stop noticing when people are kind of whatever they're doing, like trying to drain our energy or trying to manifest whatever we're trying to manifest. It's a good thing if we're always focused on the spiritual, chanting more, reading more, like absorbing more. Then anyone who if they're trying to be like us, then that's good. That was all I had to say. I don't know if you guys have.
Thank you. Yeah.
Okay. Krishna Bhava, and I just wanted to show you guys I got a new thing.
Oh my God.
So I'm gonna ring this after how much time should we give them? 2 minutes? 2 minutes to answer the question. You guys are. The Chaitanya Charitamrita says, truth spoken concisely is true eloquence. So, okay. Yeah, so the answer is just Hare Krishna to everything. Okay, Krishna Bhava, when a thought comes to me, how do you think I can differentiate? Oh my God, someone asked another question. How do you think I can differentiate if the thought is conscious, subconscious, or from my soul or spiritual?
That's a good question. I actually had this question before. It's like, how do I know if it's actually coming from like the soul, or they say in the Bhakti tradition, they teach us that inside our heart, God is also present as what they call the super soul. And in the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says that, I'm present in your heart and I give knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. So there's also that voice within us that's like not our voice. And we can experience that sometimes, like we get thoughts or what they call, what do they call? Intuition, yeah. It's almost like, how did I know that? Or where did that come from? So they say that that's the super soul speaking to us. Yeah, so how do we know the difference between these different things? Is, I don't know, it's kind of tricky to actually know the difference. But I think, for me at least, I can kind of, because I know like my level of knowledge, my level of experience and things like that. So if it's based on those things, I know that it's coming from me. If it's something that is just like totally not something I would think of, and is also in line with like higher principles, then it could be something else, like the super soul. But then until we're actually like in a high enough position to distinguish, they say that we should take guidance. And that's why we have spiritual teachers. It says that those spiritual teachers are representatives of God because they're empowered by God to help other people come closer to Him. And so we can approach spiritual teachers and ask them all of our questions, and through them, we're able to understand what God actually wants us to do and how we can progress.
Good. He's trained. So go back to Gaur Sharan, Prabhu. I'm going to ask you all the controversial questions because you're such a nice person. A beam person. Sometimes great, and we're running out of time, so I'm just conglomerating some questions to make one question. So sometimes great leaders and scriptures say things that are now considered controversial, racist, or sexist. How do we understand and come to terms with this?
Give some examples.
No thanks.
Like usually if you see the life of that spiritual leader or saint, what is the primary mood? And say for example, Prabhupada, sometimes people may take objection to what Prabhupada said in some context. However, if you see his life, here is someone who has risked everything in order to spread compassion to others. So you see the whole life of theirs. Each one, we all have a cultural context, and what is acceptable today may not be acceptable like 100 years down the line culturally sometimes. So cultural contexts keep changing, so we don't need to judge them based on that, but see the whole mood of the scripture or the whole mood of the life of that particular saint.
Thank you.
Can I ask a follow-up?
Yes.
Well, considering like some of the saints that have, realized these truths, how are they still so inculcated in the culture that they don't see beyond what's happening and to actually see the harmony in things, irrelevant of what culture says?
Actually, wisdom is universal. If we can keep our like the covering that we have because of our cultural conditioning, then we'll be able to see the truth that they are trying to point out. We are so culturally conditioned that we are trying to interpret that truth based on our cultural conditioning. That's what most of the time poses problem. So do we have the ability to step out of our cultural conditioning and try to understand where they're coming from and how it will be helpful to our spiritual growth? We need that ability in order to actually accept what they are, to be able to judge what they are saying.
It's not always true. I can give you an example. I mean, I recently read Chaitanya Charitamrita, and Mahaprabhu was notorious for like not talking to women, not even looking at them, not even moving towards them, with that one exception at the Jagannath temple. Why was that? I was curious to read that.
Because he has in that particular society, sannyasi is considered as the spiritual leader, and as a sannyasi they have taken a vow not to actually engage in the general social life, including interacting with women for any kind of sensual matters, and be respectful. So if you think, he also had people cook for him and serve him and all that was there. So usually it is better to actually have like a proper etiquette of dealing with them. So it is not that he hated women, rather he actually, if you read the Chaitanya Charitamrita, he inquires from Srivas Thakur, how is your wife doing, or from Shivananda Sen. So he becomes happy when Shivananda Sen's wife is conceived, then he gives a present. So and when he receives gifts from them, so he takes that, he takes what Damayanti is cooking and sending. So it's not that he did not actually accept or reciprocate with them their devotional service, but in his social role as a sannyasi, he was not expected to actually be closely in touch with women, especially physically in touch with women. So I don't see it as a what do you call it, as a fault. Rather, he was trying to set a good example so that the general society can have faith in him as a person who purely follows the principles.
Yeah.
Thank you. So, Nityananda Chandra, the next question's for you. So, you considered to move from brahmachari to grihastha. Why didn't you take sannyas?
Why did it take sannyas?
So, for context, maybe you can explain what these terms mean.
So yeah, we described the 4 stages of life. You have the celibate student life, the married life, retired life, and then sannyas is fully renounced. Thank you guys. Please take something home to eat with you. There might be a plate right outside waiting for you because we're serving out in just a few minutes. So yeah, thank you. So sannyasi is someone who's taken a lifelong vow of missionary work, celibacy, and they are often seen with the marked with the danda. They wear this color dress, but it's a little different style, and they're automatically also seen as someone who's in that role is usually like a teacher or so. So there was once a sannyasi who was a disciple of Prabhupada, and this person, unlike how sannyasis are today, this person took sannyas when he was like 20 years old. And nowadays, when you take sannyas, they look at your astrology. They say, do you actually have it in your cards to live this kind of lifestyle? They look at your habits, your astrology, so many different things. And this person, he fell down from his sannyas. He got married, and so many of the disciples, God brothers, were humiliating him, ridiculing him. And Srila Prabhupada, he advised, no, don't humiliate him. He was like the story of Gajendra the elephant who was fighting an alligator in a lake. He said, you were like the elephant in the lake fighting the alligator. It's like you were not in your right situation. Therefore, you're battling at a disadvantage. You're dealing with the challenges of this world in a disadvantaged situation. Now you're elephant on land. Now you're working in your proper position. So one of the primary lessons of Bhagavad Gita is that we should follow the activities that are according to our nature. Arjuna said, no, I want to be spiritual. I don't want to fight. And Krishna's like, no, you have a misunderstanding of what it means spiritual. You have to do what you're naturally already doing according to your psychophysical nature, but do it for Krishna. Do it for God. And so my natural psychophysical nature was have a family, have kids. That's just natural. Most people are not naturally sannyasis. Bing.
Wait. There you go. Nice. We're looking forward for you to take sannyas soon. Okay, now I'm going to cut it down to a minute.
I had a dream. I was like, why? They were trying to give me sannyas. I was like, what are you doing?
I'm going to cut the time down to a minute. It's because we only have about 10 minutes left. So, Surabhi, can you finish your rounds of japa when someone is doing kirtan?
No.
That's it. Okay.
Okay, let me just explain.
Okay.
It's considered like your mind has to be either engaged in the kirtan or engaged in the japa. But if you're doing both at the same time, it's kind of distracting. Like one would be distracting the other. You can't do either. So.
Okay, good.
What about TikTok and japa?
No.
Driving and japa.
Driving.
No.
What if you're like in the middle of a round and someone starts a kirtan? Can you finish a round and then?
I just walk out of the kirtan, finish the round, come back. That's what I do.
Sometimes the mind can be so agitated that all that Hare Krishna just shuts it up.
Any other japa questions for Surabhi? Okay.
Don't ask me.
If you have to do japa and something, the answer is probably no. Left-handed
Left-handed japa.
Left-handed.
Are you a lefty?
I'm not.
Then no.
They're probably not for you.
What if I do 8 rounds on both hands?
You need 2 minutes.
Okay, Krishna Bhava, what do you tell yourself when you don't feel like chanting?
Chant anyway.
Oh, I have a question. Yeah?
Yes.
Just regarding I get migraines, and sometimes I think that the chanting is like straining on my brain, and sometimes I resort to just thinking of Krishna, which is nice. But how would you what advice would you give me for when I have a headache and I can't do japa? You know, it's like maybe the right thing to do would be just to like calm the nervous system.
Well, maybe look at the speed and the intensity of the way you chant your japa. Like I've noticed if I'm trying to do it really fast to like finish it fast, that also sometimes makes me get a bit like a subtle headache or something like that, because it's just like I'm not really focusing on the sweetness of the names and like the prayer, but I'm just focusing on, okay, let's get this done quick because I have so many other things that I need to do. So I find that whenever I actually chant, like really trying to just focus on the sound of the names and call to the Lord with sincerity, then it's actually it kind of has the opposite effect. It like really soothes you and makes you peaceful.
I have something quick to add. If the mind is really, disturbed for whatever reason, listen to some soothing kirtan to like get you in the mood to chant more.
That's actually, I know a lot of devotees, like before they start their japa, they'll say like some prayers or like something that helps them set the mood for japa.
I have a question. This is a deep philosophical question.
Well, we only have 2 minutes left.
Okay, it's a deep philosophical question in the last 2 minutes. And Prabhupada says multiple times that we've fallen from the spiritual world and that we were in the spiritual world at one point. The Bhagavad Gita says in the 8th chapter that once we're in the spiritual world, we'll never leave. And different acharyas have said different things in the past as well. So how can an eternal living entity existing in the spiritual world where Maya does not enter, the material energy does not enter, turn away from God? And simultaneously, how do we deal with different things that people have said, different commentators? Prabhupada says we fell. Other commentators said we have never been in the spiritual world.
Yeah, my usual mode is when big minds are actually saying different things, just focus on the basics. Because whether you were in the spiritual world or not, you will have to follow the same process to get out of this place. It's very clear where you are today and what is the process to get out of this place. That much is the same. Whatever that was, the process is the same. So focus your attention on there, because that center of, when you focus your attention on that center of control, then your influence actually increases. Then by the grace of spiritual elevation, you'll be able to understand what they are saying, because they all have said multiple things. So there must be some realization in what they have said.
Thank you. Just wanted to give an opportunity to one other person if anybody has an in-person question, because the other ones we don't really have time for. You can maybe ask them during dinner. Any other questions? Yes.
I just have a follow-up question for when he asked about migraine and japa. I always assumed and I always thought that japa is supposed to relax you instead of straining your body. Maybe initially it's difficult to start with, but eventually once you get used to it, it's so beautiful and it's blissful. So how can it give a headache? I mean, it hasn't given to me a headache. Maybe he's doing something wrong that you can address. Because it's not supposed to strain body, it's supposed to relax you. I mean, I feel like even as a therapy of migraine is meditating, calming, soothing yourself. So what is wrong that a migraine is being triggered or a headache is being triggered by japa?
Well, I tend to push myself to the limit. I'm an athlete, and I don't even know how much damage I've done, because I've been a pro skater my whole life, and it's like find myself yelling sometimes and giving myself too much tension. But that's also why I've resorted to yoga and meditation.
Any response to that?
And she mentioned listening to kirtan. There's also called Bhuta Stuti. There's like different processes by which you kind of bring yourself into the japa. So japa means you're chanting with love, with attention, and oftentimes we're more like doing it in our head, not with our heart. And if we kind of calm down and do it, it's like, you know, it's not like someone is singing something like a lullaby to their child and they get a headache singing it. It's a transformation of how we do it, and that takes some time and some purification. And in the beginning, it might be some practice to move towards that.
Probably, I'd just like to add 2 minutes of my own. Not a question, just to his answer.
Okay, you have 2 sentences. Can you do that, Jay?
Yeah.
2 sentences.
Yeah, so as an athlete, he's looking for a psychophysical answer. So just to explain, when you do something over and over again, there's a loop in your head, right? And it gets, strengthened. So it becomes auto mode, So you just kind of start chanting and let it be on auto mode. Let it go. Don't try to consciously do it. Let it flow. And then say 4 or 5 rounds down the line, you'll get to a flow mode, which will be very blissful. So it don't have to make it a conscious effort. Just let it flow.
Okay, thank you so much, everybody. Let's give the monks a big round of applause. I will say it's not very easy to sit up here and ask any single question. Anything could come. We'll ask during Prasadam. Thank you. It's